Hey Fit Fam, I want to talk to you about something that might be the most important piece of your entire journey. And it's not about food, it's not about your workouts or even your macros, your steps, or your sleep. It's how you see yourself. Because here's the truth, and I really want you to sit with this. Most people don't struggle with knowing what to do. You've got Google, you've got me. What you struggle with is becoming the person who actually does it consistently without white knuckling it, without needing to restart every Monday. So, real quick, I want you to think to yourself, have you ever said to yourself, I know what I should be doing, I just don't always do it? This is not a motivation problem and it's not a discipline problem. There's an identity gap. And what we want to do is work on closing it. Let me break this down simply. Your identity is the story you believe about yourself. Not the story your mom told you, not what happened 10 years ago. The story you're running right now in the back of your head about who you are. Some common ones I hear from women in this program: I'm someone who's never been consistent. I'm bad at sticking to things. I always fall off on weekends. I have no willpower around certain foods. I've tried everything and nothing works for me. Sound familiar? These aren't facts. These are beliefs that have been repeated so many times that you feel like they're facts. And here's the kicker: your brain is always trying to prove your identity right. Your brain literally is wired to seek evidence that confirms what you already believe about yourself. It's called confirmation bias and it's working 24/7. So if you believe I'm someone who can't stay consistent, every time you have a hard day, your brain goes, see, I knew it. This is just who I am. I've worked with women who start every single program strong. They nail the first week. They're texting me, they're excited, they're feeling it. Then something small happens: a busy day, a stressful night, a social event. And instead of adjusting, they disappear. Not because they don't care, not because the program stopped working, but because deep down they still believe this is what I always do. I always fall off. That belief becomes a self fulfilling pattern every single time. So, what I want you to do is think for a second. What does the future version of you do in that current version doesn't? Not a goal, a behavior, but what does the future version of you do in those situations? Here's where most people get stuck. And I was there too. So I want to be real with you. When we start a program, most of us frame it like this: I'm trying to eat healthy. I'm trying to be more consistent. I'm trying to get back on track. Did you catch the word trying? Trying is temporary, identity is permanent. Think about brushing your teeth for a second. You don't roll out of bed and say, oh, I'm really going to try to brush my teeth today. You just do it without negotiating, without motivation, without a vision board. Why? Because it's not something you're trying to do. It's just who you are. It's part of your identity as someone who takes care of themselves. So the goal isn't to try harder. The goal is to become someone for whom those habits are just normal. And I know that sounds like big stuff, like a big shift, but it starts with something incredibly small. It starts with the language you use about yourself. So think for a second. What's one thing you're currently trying to do with your health that you wish just felt natural and automatic? Okay, so now that you've thought about that, this is the part of the conversation I really want you to lock in on, because this is where most people get frustrated and blame themselves, and it's not their fault. Here's the pattern I see over and over. Motivation is high, you start strong. You change your behavior, your workouts, your food, your tracking, you see some results. You're feeling good, clothes are fitting better, life happens. You get stressed, you start traveling, you have a hard week, you slip, you miss a workout, you eat off plan, then you spiral. Well, I already messed up. You fall all the way back to where you started. And then you feel like a failure. And you promise yourself next time will be different. But it's not. The cycle repeats. And you know why? Because behavior changed, but your identity didn't. Think about someone who loses 30 pounds through extreme dieting, strict rules, massive calorie deficit, total discipline. She looks incredible. She feels incredible. But here's what's happening underneath. She still believes she's the person who struggles with food. She still identifies as someone who has to white knuckle to stay on track. So when the structure goes away, the diet ends, vacation happens, the holidays hit, she doesn't just slip a little. She goes all the way back because she went back to who she believed she was. You don't fall off because you failed. You fall back to who you believe you are. The good news, that belief is changeable. And that's what we're doing here. So I want you to think about an area in your life where you do have a strong identity, something you never skip, never negotiate on. It could be showing up for your kids, brushing your teeth, going to work. Think about it. What is that thing? You already know how to operate from identity. You have it within you. We're just applying it to your health now. The wiring is there. So, this is where we get to work. 5 things, and I want you to actually write these down. First thing we're going to do, change the language. This is the fastest, smallest thing you can do, and it works. So instead of saying, I'm trying to eat better, say, I'm someone who takes care of my body. Instead of saying, I'm trying to be consistent, say, I show up for myself even when it's hard. Instead of saying, I'm bad at this, say, I'm still figuring this out and I don't quit. This isn't toxic positivity. This isn't pretending. This is deliberately choosing a story that serves you instead of one that limits you. So I want you to ask yourself, what's one sentence you can write on a sticky note this week that is your new identity statement, something you want to start proving to yourself? Okay, now that you have that, let's talk about step 2, small proof over big effort. Here's what most people get wrong. They think identity comes from doing something massive, running a marathon, losing 20 pounds, finishing a whole program perfectly. But identity is actually built through tiny, consistent evidence. Every small action is a vote for the type of person you're becoming. Examples of how you can vote for yourself today: choose protein at one meal, go for a 10-minute walk instead of skipping entirely, drinking a glass of water first thing in the morning, stopping when you're satisfied instead of finishing the plate, sending your check in even when you're not proud of your week. None of these feel huge, but every time you do one of them, you're sending your brain a signal of, this is who I am now. Now, step 3 is repetition over perfection. You do not need a perfect week. You need a repeated pattern. It's not about perfect days, it's about repeated aligned actions to help you reach your goal. The woman who works out 4 days a week for 6 months will always outperform the woman who goes hard for 3 weeks and burns out every time. So give yourself permission to be imperfect and keep going anyways. That's actually the most advanced thing you can do. Then step 4, act like the person now. This is my favorite one, and it's the mindset shift that changes everything. When you're in a situation that feels hard, temptation, stressful moment, a social situation, ask yourself, what would the version of me I'm becoming do right now? Not the old version, the future version, the one who feels good in her body, who doesn't stress about food, who takes care of herself naturally. I want to give you a real life example. You're at a restaurant. The old voice says, it's fine, I'll restart Monday. The new voice says, what would someone who takes care of her body do here? Maybe she orders the salmon. Maybe she has 1 cocktail instead of 3. Maybe she doesn't even finish the bread basket, not because she's restricting, because that's just who she is now. So you don't have to be her yet. You just have to start making her decisions. And then step 5 is stop reinforcing the old identity. This one is about what not to do. Be really careful with these phrases. I always fall off. I'm just bad at this. This is hard for me. I can't help it. I've always been this way. Every time you say something like that, you're casting a vote against yourself. You're reinforcing the old story. It's okay to acknowledge struggle, but there's a difference between I'm struggling with this versus I'm someone who always struggles. Hear the difference? One is temporary, the other is permanent identity. Choose your words carefully. Another thing I want you to write down: what is one phrase you're going to stop saying to yourself this week? And one phrase you're replacing it with, just like what we did. I want to see that swap. What we're doing here, this is the work. This is the actual work. So think for a second about this. Now, before we close, I want to leave you with something I truly believe. This journey is not about following a plan perfectly. It's about becoming a different version of yourself. The kind of person who plans ahead, not because she has to, but because she respects herself. The kind of person who makes better choices, not because she's following rules, but because it's just who she is. The kind of person who doesn't quit after one mistake, because one mistake doesn't define her. You do not need to prove this to anyone else, not to me, not to your family, not to social media. You just need to start proving to yourself, one decision at a time. Now, one last thing. I want you to think about what is one way you're going to act like that person this week. Be specific. Write it down. Okay, you've got that? That right there is a commitment. You're holding yourself to it. The people who succeed aren't the ones who never struggle. They're the ones who slowly become the kind of person who doesn't quit. Thank you for joining me today. I really hope you got something out of this. If you like this, please like and subscribe for more to come.